For today's webinar, like I said, we're primarily going to be going through um, the support portal and kind of going through some of the useful things that not everybody might be aware of, and just kind of working through the various tools that we have available in there. Um, Most of the time, sometimes it can be used as a um, kind of first line of support before going to the support team. But as always, we are here to answer any kind of questions. But we want to make sure you guys are all aware of what we have available there. So these are some of the things that we're going to look at. They're going to go through the Knowledge Center and the things that are available in there. We're going to look at the new download page and kind of some of the things we've changed in there, primarily with the ability to bulk download everything all together with the use of the shopping cart. Where to go request license updates, how to access training information, how to manage your own support cases as they are created through the support portal. You can check statuses and update them, and then also just how to register yourself on the support portal if you're not already. So with that, we'll kind of jump into taking a look at the support portal and what is involved there. So here's the GeoGraphix Support Portal website link I have up here at the top, support.lmkr.com. I'm sure many of you may already be aware of where you can get to this location. Most of you will be aware of it, as that's where you go to get the download so you can install the software. But let's kind of look at some of the other things that you have available to you in here as well. First and foremost, for those of you that are new to GeoGraphix or have been working with GeoGraphix for a while, but typically haven't dealt with the support or download side of things, one of the first things you'll need to do is register yourself up here in the upper right-hand corner. There should be a registration button there. I'm already logged in, so it has my name here. But for those of you that aren't logged in, there'll be the register button next to the login option. Through the registration, you just fill out the form, name, company, contact information as far as email, phone number, your preferred method of contact, just information that we'll need as far as giving you access to the portal so you can get to the downloads, to the Knowledge Center, to case management, as well as generating a PIN number for you to use whenever you call in to the support line. Using that PIN number, it'll, as it comes to the support phone system, it'll generate a case for you, and then our support agents can pick it up and start working with you. And then it also gives you the ability, like I said, to log in and access things here in the portal. So the first thing I want to point out here on the portal is this is the home page. What you'll first see whenever you get to the portal. Down here, right in the middle, you'll see these 4 blue circles. Those are some of the commonly used tools and features that you have available to you, and you'll also see their counterparts through some of these other methods as we go through here. First one there is going to be your managed cases. This is where you can create cases. You can look at the status of cases as they're run through the support portal, and like status updates on the case as well. You've returned information to the support team, and the support team is investigating. They've returned back to you, and then we're waiting for more details from there. And you can also add information to the case from there as well, whether it be notes or attachments. Those can be added through that Manage Cases tab. Knowledge Center. This is where you can access information pertaining to webinars, to our white papers, to our download installation guides, and also our search. And this is the link to the search in the Knowledge Center, where you can, if you're running across a certain error in the software or just a question on how to do something, generally you can use the search feature in there to find some of the articles, support articles that we've put up on the website that's basically a step-by-step process or an answer to a question or solution to a problem. Some of those that we've seen before. These are the ones that we published to the website. The third icon here is your remote support client. Anytime that we contact or you contact support and something that maybe we need to see what's going on your screen, then the support agent may request to remote into your site and take a look at what you're seeing. And this is where you'll find the link to do so. You'll click the link. It'll come up with an option to give you a little executable file here. You just run that file whenever it's done. Once you run it, it'll go through a couple disclaimers, and then it'll give you an ID number to provide to the support agent so they can connect to you and access your screen, so you can kind of work support that way. This is a TeamViewer client connection. If you already have a TeamViewer installed on your software, then you just need to provide that information and we can connect that way. But this provides a kind of a temporary ID connection for those of you that don't have it. I know some companies will block TeamViewer, so they won't enable that connection. In those cases, check with IT to see if they'd allow a temporary connection just in this case. If not, there are some other methods that we can try to remote in and connect. In some cases, we may be able to walk you through it without having to connect. But just be aware that it is a TeamViewer connection client, and some IT groups will block those. The last one is the how-to tips. These are some various tips and tricks that we provide on doing certain things within the software, broken down by various modules or workflows, anything there. And then again, ones that are you're getting started, just introducing you to certain aspects of the software. And then after that, broken down by geophysical, geological, data management, and petrophysical tools in there. And again, that's all accessed from the Knowledge Center. So we'll kind of come back to that in a moment and look at some of that more in depth. Those are your first 4 kind of quick links on accessing some of those more common ones whenever you access the support portal. And again, the most important one there is your remote support client. As I mentioned, that creates that download, that executable. You don't have to run this every single time that you need us to remote in. You can just run that executable from your downloads every time we need to remote in. So once you've done it once, it's there. You can create a shortcut on your desktop and call it, the LMKR support remote client, something like that, so you know what it is, and then just run that every single time we need to remote in to take a look at your machine. All right, so that's some of the first information there. Other information you'll see on the portal is just information on our latest release. There's some information and a compatibility matrix to kind of see what's compatible with. Down here below is a little bar indicating some recent webinars, recent white papers, upcoming trainings, and some recent how-to tips. And they'll kind of cycle through there. We're always working to try and update those as they come through. And then just some more information here on the software. The key aspect, though, the main reason that we're kind of doing this is there's a list of other tools that are available in here that you may not be immediately familiar with whenever you're working with the support portal here. So I'm just going to work through these various tabs and kind of show you what's involved with these various setups on the support portal. The first one I'll go through is the license management. So whenever you first kind of get into GeoGraphix, you'll go through your sales rep. You'll provide the details on the package that you want, and then we'll provide the license from there. Throughout the year, we will update the software with patch updates, and then every year we'll put out a full release. So this year being 2020, we're looking to output a 2020 release sometime probably later in the year. And then we're also looking to output a patch, a 2019.2.2 patch, hopefully in the coming weeks here. The license request is going to be primarily in the case of updating to a new version. So if you're running an older version, or once we do put out that 2020 version, then you will need to update to a new license file. License files are compatible for every patch version of that release. So like I said, if we're rolling out that new patch in the coming days, you don't need a new license file for that. All your license changes are going to be managed by the full release number. So 2017, 2019, 2020. Those licenses will be available across all platforms. So once you have your initial license, like I said, the only thing you'll need to do at that point is request either a an upgrade for your current license, or in the case of you get a new machine or you're getting a new server, then we'll need to transfer that license from your current setup to a new setup. And those are primarily just going to be for your standalone licenses that are tied to a MAC address. If your license is tied to a BitLock, then you don't need to transfer. You have the BitLock and you just move it to the new machine and you can use the license you had previously. You would only need to use this for upgrading that license if you need to. So you have two options there, transferring or upgrading. I'm going to go and just look at the upgrade option here. It'll ask you a couple other questions. Primarily, what version are you running? Like I said, everything's kind of on the 0.1 version because that license is available across all updates to the software at that point. You don't need to worry about getting a new license for each version. There are a couple of exceptions if we release, say, a new or updated tool, for instance, from 2019.1 to 2019.2. We changed Prism to GVERSE Petrophysics. We would need a new license for that in that case because it's a new feature inside of the tool. So yeah, just choose the version you're currently running, let's say 2017, and then the version you want to upgrade to, and it'll limit it to just the ones that are above that, so 19.1 and 19.2. Like I said, there'll be separate licenses because of that change from Prism to GVERSE Petrophysics. So essentially, you just choose what you're running, what you need to upgrade to, and then how is that license being managed? Is this a license that's going to be on the same machine? You haven't changed computers or anything else like that? Or are you moving this over to a new machine at the same time you're upgrading? In both cases, you will need the host ID of that machine that you're moving to. In the case of moving it to a new machine, you'll need the old host ID, your old MAC address, as well as the new MAC address. So make sure you have both of those on hand. Anything with the red asterisk is required. So you just kind of check which option you're doing there and then what you need to provide for that. In some cases, in order to make this run a little bit smoother, they'll also ask for a copy of your current license. That way we can kind of check which platforms or programs you have available to you right now, and then we just kind of transfer that over to the new license file. Once everything else is filled out, again, you can put some comments in here just saying I want to update my current license to the newest release. Any other notes you need to put in there, for instance, if you're transferring, say, my old hard drive died, or we're decommissioning the server to move to a new server. Any kind of comment that may help the license team understand what's going on with the update. Typically, you don't really need to do that. Just fill out the form, and the license team will kind of manage it from there. Once everything's filled out, you'll just submit the license request form, and that'll go out to our licensing team, and they will process it and issue you the new license file. And that should go through whoever's requesting it. It'll go to their email. So if you want your IT group to kind of manage all the licenses, ask one of them to submit it. If you submit it yourself, you may need to forward it on to whoever needs the license file. And then, again, in your comments, you can type out who you want it to be forwarded to as well. But that information goes out to our licensing team. You'll get a message that says, please allow 1 business day, but sometimes it doesn't take that long to issue that. Just fill out the form, and they'll get working on it. So that's the information that kind of goes along with updating that new license file. Sometimes in support, we'll get the question, hey, I need a new license file. Where do I go do that? You can manage it through here. You can also email the licensing team or your sales rep in those cases as well to have them kind of either help you expedite the process or get the process started. So yeah, that's your license management. That's primarily what it's being used there for, upgrading to a new version or transferring to a new machine. The downloads tab here. Downloads is where we're going to manage all of the software packages and what softwares you'll need from there. So we've changed it a little bit. We've added the ability to create a shopping cart and download everything all at once without having to download each file individually as we had to do in the past. On the left-hand side, you'll have all the various tools that you may need to download from here. And each kind of tab breakdown here will include different things. So under Discovery, that's going to be the main software. And you'll see we have software releases dating all the way back to version 2007. So you just find the version that you need, and then you find the tools within there that you may need to include as well. So for instance, if I want to download the new 2019.2 version, I'll check the box here. Whenever you check that box, it'll check all the sub boxes. And then over here on the right-hand side, I'll see here's all the files that I can download. If I only need an individual file, I don't need to worry about the shopping cart. You just hit download, and it'll start downloading that file. But in the case where I want to use that shopping cart, let's go ahead and look for some of the files that you'll need typically. For full installation, when you're updating to a new release, you'll need to include things like the main installation file for the full setup, 2019.2 setup. The utilities folder, and that utilities folder contains some external tools that may not be within the tool itself. There's some things in there you might not necessarily need. One of the things that's in there, though, is the Excel macro for enabling the spreadsheet importer. You'll need a new one for 2019.2 if you find that the one that you're currently using is no longer working. This is where you can go and download that as a utility setup. You may also need a third-party installer for working with Esri. These are the versions that were compatible with this release, 10.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and 0.6. So just kind of check the one that you want to use. I'll go ahead and grab the most recent one. And then if there's any patches or hotfixes that go along with that as well. So there's a 2019.2.1 setup. I'll go ahead and include that. And then if there's any hotfixes for that as well, I'll go ahead and include some of those. So once I got those checked, I'll say add to bucket, and that goes out to my shopping cart, and I can click that there. And this is where you can start the download for everything that you currently have in there. So again, you'll go through the typical things, your disclaimer. This will show you all the things you've included in the shopping cart. So I got your setup, your utilities, your third party, your patch, your hotfixes. And if you want to remove anything, you can remove that from here. So just take one off of that. And then down here at the bottom is your download option. Clicking the download will prompt the download to start, and it'll create a zip file of all these files within there. Then you just unzip, and you can start the installation of going through those files. You know, your setup, then your patch, then your third-party tool. Order is not super important for that. You can do third-party tool and then the software. Yeah, so you can see there's the download starting down there at the bottom. I won't actually run that because it'll take quite a long time to run there. But yeah, so you can kind of monitor the progress there of your downloads and download everything in bulk now, like I said, without having to do each one individually, making it a bit easier to grab all the tools that you need at once. Okay. Other things in the downloads, if you're a first-time installer or you're installing onto a new machine for the first time, one of the other things you'll need on that software is going to be your license manager. And the license manager is listed over here under the product releases in a section called utilities. This utilities is different than utilities we were looking at before with the install files. These are just the kind of extra utility tools they can download. So your license management tool can be found here. There is a 2019.2 version. If you have the old version, sometimes you can get the license to work without needing the new one. But if you ever find you're having issues, check to make sure you're on the updated version of that. So this is where you can include that in the downloads. After that, there are going to be various other tools that will have their own separate installer. For older versions of the software, with the most recent release, the GVERSE Planner is included in the base install, so you don't need a separate install for that anymore. But older releases, 2017, 2016, 2015, you'll need to install that separately. Same goes for some of these other tools. Web steering is a separate install, so you'll need to download those separately. Your GVERSE connector, your GVERSE attributes, your GVERSE predict, GVERSE inversion, those all have separate installers. Geomodeling is included in your base installation. However, with the 2017 release, we did include a separate install for those as well, in cases either where it didn't install correctly, or you just wanted to have a separate backup install for it as well. Those can be included. So those are the various things you can find there on the download tab. Just make note of what you're downloading, installing, and make sure you get the right versions of everything that you want for the current version of the software you're trying to get. If you have any questions with that, of course, feel free to reach out to support. We can help you, help point you out to the softwares that you'll need. But typically, it's always going to be the full version utilities, third party, plus any patches that come along with it that you may need. Okay, so working along the top here, we'll go over to case management. Case management is where you can create a case and manage a case with support. So first one is you can create a case, and click the link over there. Through the case creation, you'll just need to provide a title. Typically, we ask that you include either in the title or at the beginning here what module you're working in. So if it's something with GeoAtlas, start with GeoAtlas and then what the issue is. If it's something system related, like something we need to set up with the server or some error message that's preventing you from accessing a project, put system at the beginning of it. That just helps us kind of identify when these cases come through, which kind of expertise level someone might need. It's like, oh, someone knowledgeable in systems, someone knowledgeable in GeoAtlas. Just streamlines the process for us a little bit. And provide the title of the case, what you're kind of asking about. The case type, is this something that's asking for sales information? You want to add a new license feature. License information, you just have a question about updating a license file or what's in your current license. Training information, you just have a request on when trainings are available. Workflow assistance, system issues, enhancement requests, and reporting a defect. Those are going to be your typical software support things. So it's if you want to know how to do something, you have an actual error message popping up somewhere, and then his request is something you want to do in the software that you don't immediately see is you're able to do, and then a defect is something has popped up as a what you perceive to be a bug. You can reproduce these things fairly regularly. Report it as a defect. We'll take a look at it and investigate it with you, and then determine if it is in fact a defect or if there's another workaround that you can do for it. So that just kind of helps us identify, again, what levels of expertise are needed on that case. Product, it will also kind of depend on the case type that you're providing. You can kind of choose a product from that drop down. And then a version number will help us, again, determine if it's an older version of the software, then updating the software will fix that problem, or there's a patch that you need to get for it. Again, also, if we ever need to test something our end, what version do we need to test along with to match what you're looking at? And then if you're working in an OpenWorks environment, you'll check the box there. Just provide a description of what the issue is, either error messages or anything else like that. And then you can attach files to it as well that include a screenshot of the error message or PowerPoint step-by-step process, Word document, whatever else you need to include in there. You can attach those files here. And then you create the case. It goes out to our support team. They'll take the case and start working on it from there. Once your case is created, then you will, and as it's been picked up by somebody to start working with, you will see it appear in your active cases. And you can track the case as changes are made to it, as you're working with it. And then once you've found your solution and gone through everything, then you'll find that information in your closed cases. Closed cases will be the cases that have been closed by the support team, or maybe you've closed yourself, which you can technically do in your active cases. You'll have an option to close it yourself if you figured it out. And you can just kind of see which solutions have been attached to that particular case. So you can kind of see what was done and then maybe come back to it later on and be like, oh, here, I'm running into that same problem. I'll be able to access from here and kind of figure out what solution article was attached to that. You can also manage some information based on the company. If there's other people at the company that have cases open and available, you can kind of see what their status is. You can't really change anything on them, but you'll at least be able to see kind of who else in the company might be running into the same problem. And again, in company closed cases, maybe somebody else ran into that same problem. You can search their solution that they had available. And then if anything is defect related, you'll be able to kind of track some of that information there in the closed defect tab. The defect information is going to be managed by us on the support end and with the development team. We have our own system for kind of tracking some of that, but we can also provide an ID number. And then every time we release a new version of the software, you can track that release against it'll have bug fixes that are included in there. You can track your number to see if it's one of those ones that's been fixed from this release. So yeah, information here can be used to manage your cases, creating, updating, checking status, and closing if you need to go ahead and close yourself. all that can be managed here in the Case Management tab. Knowledge Center. Knowledge Center is going to be your big one. This is where we have a lot of the information that is provided out to clients. As long as you have you're registered and you have your login, you can use the Knowledge Center to access some details about the software that you may be searching for. Like I said, you can kind of do your own search before checking with support. Maybe you'll find your answer that way. But the things that are available to you in here, the first one is going to be our webinars, like the one we're doing now. Once we're done with these webinars, we will upload them onto the website for referral. You can go back and watch them again if you missed a detail somewhere. You just want to go back and look at a certain step somewhere. So you can find that there in the webinars tab. And you can search here just by what's new. The most recent webinars will be listed here. And you can also search based on modules. So anything that's related to geology, anything that's related to geophysics, anything that's related to geomodeling, petrophysics, mapping and visualization, field planning, system and data management, GVERSE as a whole, and then anything that's we've translated into Spanish down there at the bottom. So they're broken down by various packages or tools or features in there. And you can also search up here into those same topics and find them that way. And yeah, you open up the video and you'll play them here. We've also updated them on YouTube, so you can find them through YouTube searches as well if you want to find them and play them that way. So those are the webinars. Search, this is where you can type in a question or an error message you might be seeing and be able to search them in our database and find the solution to the problem there in a step-by-step, or just details about a particular question or anything else. These solutions are dating back to several years over the time, so some of these may not be immediately relevant anymore to the version of the software you have, but in some cases, the solution that worked several years ago might still work, and so you can kind of follow those along here. For instance, we can look at a typical error that I see sometimes after a Windows update has occurred. You try to open up the software, but you get an error message. That's error message 0.41425. If I remember correctly, or no, it's 51. Sorry. And you can search on that. Oh, wait, maybe it was 425. Error for that. I was just doing this a second ago. There we go. And you can search the various solutions we have in here that are related to that particular problem, or problems that have a similar kind of error code. You can also see, as you're typing in here, things that are related to that had that particular code associated with it. Most of the solutions in here should have some sort of keyword search. So you can start typing in a particular keyword, and it should pop up with some solutions that are involved with that. If you can't find the immediate one, then you'll be able to search the similar solutions over here in the left-hand toolbar as well. So systems unable to attach a local list service after a Windows update. So that's one of those common ones. I can go ahead and search on that one. And you'll be able to see the details and the steps involved that go with working with that solution. So kind of give you some various steps, most recent up-to-date information up here at the top, plus some other general solution steps that are involved with that, and also kind of give you some information that if it's related to a particular bug, and as well as who wrote the solution. Maybe there's a particular support agent, like a Mr. I don't know, Andrew Vessel, that you trust more than others. You can find solutions and see which ones are written by particular people as well. And again, some of these will be a bit older. I think some of the older solutions, keyword searches don't always pick them up immediately. But again, you can typically find them in kind of related searches over here on the left-hand side. Yeah, so each one of those you can kind of pull up and find the steps that are involved in either reproducing that particular problem or steps involved in fixing that particular problem, bug up as part of it. or just an answer to a problem or a question you might have. Through those search features, you'll be able to find a solution one way or another. These are the same solutions we have access to, so if we say, oh, I need to look something up, this is typically the same things that we look up. Although we also have some unpublished solution articles and other things that may not be immediately available here on the website. But one way or another, you can search through here to find an answer to your problem. So you can come in here and search first, see if you can find an answer. If you can't, again, always contact support, and we can generally work with you to find the correct solution for you there. Okay, so that's your search. System requirements just gives you information on if you want to update to a new version of the software. A lot of times we'll get questions on, do you have the release notes for that? On where can I search for what I need to have on my machine, either the minimum or the recommended requirements for a particular version. And up here at the top, you can see it broken down by 2019, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, and all the way back to version 5000. And then the hardware requirements, you'll be able to see over here. So graphic card, just basic hardware requirements, operating system requirements, all those can be found here under the system requirements. Under the downloads page, we also have these available as downloadable PDFs if you want to pull up those information as well. And you can break this down based on the software as a whole or individual separate packages, as I mentioned before, things you can download separately. And they'll just give you some more requirements on what's involved with those. Some of the more graphically intensive may require a different graphics card, so you can kind of check with that information. We do most of our testing with NVIDIA graphics cards, so pretty much any NVIDIA card you can get these days, you should be able to run very easily. But yeah, just check for other things like .NET framework requirements, DirectX requirements, and operating system requirements. You can check all that information here under System. And again, with the release notes, that'll also provide that information. You can check the release notes for a version of the software, either by 2019.2. Here's one for 2019.1. With a full release, full releases like that, they'll have their own patches. Will typically be, what's the requirements for 2019.2.1? It's the same as 2019.2, so you'll typically only see software requirements under the main release. The release notes for hot fixes or patches will typically be bug fixes and what's been specifically fixed within each one of those. So that'll open up a PDF, and you can read that PDF for that information and then download it if you need to share it with anybody else. So you can find release notes again for any version all the way back to version 5000, plus other utilities with the license manager. There's an installation guide involved with that as well. You can get an install guide for how to install the software down here below as well. Okay. The supported products matrix is primarily just a list of the most recent versions of the software and which ones we still kind of officially support. We officially support 3 versions back, so you can find that information here, 2019, 17, and 16. Although those of you that are on older versions than that, we can still offer support for some of those tools as well. Although most of the time in some of those cases, because of patch updates, the newer releases will provide the fixes for most of the problems you'll see in those versions. So just be aware that that may be the solution that you're looking for, is just to update to a new release. White papers. These are some of our white papers on how to do certain things in the software. Again, broken out by particular modules and workflows. So anything related to data management, anything related to geology, anything related to petrophysics, geophysics, systems, and license information. You can find various white papers on a step-by-step guide on how to do something, some just detailed information on something within the tool and within the module. Or anything like that. If it's an error message, typically we don't write white papers on error messages unless it's a workaround kind of a thing. But white papers will typically be just like a step-by-step guide on how to do something in the software. So you can find those here on the white papers tab. And we're always trying to write new white papers and update these. And if you're ever looking for a white paper on a specific topic and you don't see it here, let us know. We can certainly write something up for you and either provide it to you individually, or we can write a white paper to provide there on the website. kind of whichever one you're looking for there. We do have some frequently asked questions. Typically, this is just going to be on setup, getting started information. So just a lot of it's on, what do I need to do on my network? What are some system requirements? How do I request a new license file? Kind of send you over to the license management page there. And again, kind of broken down by getting started as far as supported versions go. How do I upgrade or request a license? What information is required in setting that up? What's all kind of involved in the GVERSE side of things? Some other basic geographics questions and some system requirement questions. So again, those are some of the frequently asked ones. And again, we kind of work on updating that as well as these things pop up. But anything you can't find in there and you have further questions on, contact us as support and we can help you out. How-to tips, just some how-to, one of the links that was on that homepage, just how to do certain things inside of the modules. That's been broken down again by topic, how to do things with installation and configuration, license configuration, Esri configuration, and then the various modules. And again, broken down by getting started, and then geophysical, geological, data management, and petrophysical kind of how-to tips. And again, we're always working on trying to update these as well. And the last one is our tips and tricks. With our newsletter, when we put that out, we put a how-to tip in there. And these will either typically be just a document, how-to step-by-step process, and then some of them will also be a video that goes along with it as well, just kind of showing you how to get to that point. So you can see a couple of them in there for some certain tips and tricks. And again, as always, we're working to update that as well with new features coming in. So that's the kind of thing you can find in the Knowledge Center. Again, you can self-research, you can kind of do on that end, but if you can't figure it out either quickly or find the exact steps you need, again, support can always help out in addition to those tools you have available to you there. Look at training next. Training just gives you the information on when upcoming training classes are coming up due to recent events with the outbreak and kind of stay-at-home orders that some of you may be receiving. We're going to be working to tailor some of these more to online classes that we can run remotely, as well as providing some training collateral on this website as well. I don't know if it's fully on there yet, but what we'll try to be doing, or try to do, is provide access to online versions of some certain training manuals. So if you're sitting at home and looking for something to do with the software and you have the time, you can kind of run through the manual and just kind of see how to do certain things from those classes. And these manuals will just be kind of online manuals you can kind of page through, but you won't have the ability to download these to keep as that way. We'll kind of be doing that in the short term while this is going on. So you'll be able to find that, and you can go tab by tab to find the various pages in there. But yeah, again, this just kind of gives you an idea of what upcoming training classes are available, and then what break them out by course, which month you want to do it, and then where you want to take the class. And these are where we offer our public classes: Oklahoma City, Houston, and Denver. But if you're in one of those places, if you're not able to travel to one of those places, again, we can always you can contact your sales rep, and we can set up somebody to come and work with you in-house, or we can do one of these remote sessions that we're going to be working on putting out for you guys. Event calendar, just a place where you can kind of keep up to speed with some of the events that are coming up in the industry, and some of the ones that we'll be at. So you can track some of that information through here. I'm not really sure the status of most of these right now, given the current state of things, and so some of this may change. But again, just kind of seeing what's coming up in the oil and gas industry. And then the last one, again, one of the most important ones, is how you can get in contact with customer support. We do provide 24/7 support now, so we have some teams that are working through the meeting weekends and working overnight. But at any time, you can feel free to contact us. The support number, there's going to be 2 of them. You can contact through North America support, and contact this number here, or through this number here. Either one will go to our support queue, and we'll be able to pick up the call from there. And for anybody else that's outside of the US, we have different numbers that'll route you to that support for that. But this is the number that we typically use for contacting support. And then if you need to contact us via email, the support@lmkr.com email as well. And then here's your information for requesting a license file, as well as contacting the license team, cos@lmkr.com. And that's all the information there under contact support. So if you ever need to get in touch with us, that's where you can go and do that. And that is pretty much the support portal at a glance there, kind of walking through the various things you'll have access to. A lot of different tools and features. And like I said, a lot of the things you see in the Knowledge Center, we're always looking to update that with new information, new webinars, new white papers, new how-to tips, and frequently asked questions. But in the meantime, if there's something you can't figure out how to do from there, you have further questions on it, or if it's you're getting error messages when trying to connect to it, then feel free to reach out to us there at support. We'll be able to help you out. Sometimes it just requires a different browser, so just try it with different browsers and see if it's something related to Windows Explorer or Chrome or Firefox or something like that. But I think that's all that I had from there.